Following the UN Security Council vote regarding a resolution involving Israel and its intention to build more settlements in conflicted areas, of course, the UN got a lot of criticism from Donald Trump and from the right-wing government in Israel. Now, to be clear, there are Jews here in the United States and also Israelis living in Israel who are against building these settlements because it leads to more conflict. And John Kerry decided that he was going to give a speech about this and kind of address some of the criticisms that the UN and specifically the United States is facing. Remember, the United States abstained from voting. They refused to veto the resolution. They didn't vote in favor of it. They just abstained. And Kerry is now defending their decision to do so. Now, he says in his speech, the Israeli Prime Minister publicly supports a two-state solution. But his current coalition is the most right-wing in Israeli history, with an agenda driven by its most extreme elements. So I want to go ahead and show you a part of his speech as well. And I have to be honest with you, I thought that maybe there would be concessions. I thought that maybe John Kerry would do what Democrats do best, which is cower and concede to everything that they get criticized about. But no, he actually took a very strong tone. Take a look.
Friends need to tell each other the hard truths, and friendships require mutual respect. Israel's permanent representative to the United Nations, who does not support a two-state solution, said after the vote last week, quote, "It was to be expected that Israel's greatest ally would act in accordance with the values that we share and veto this resolution. I am compelled to respond today that the United States did, in fact, vote in accordance with our values, just as previous U.S. administrations have done at the Security Council before us. They fail to recognize that this friend, the United States of America, that has done more to support Israel than any other country, this friend that has blocked countless efforts to delegitimize Israel, cannot be true to our own values or even the stated democratic values of Israel. And we cannot properly defend and protect Israel if we allow a viable two-state solution to be destroyed before our own eyes."
So he didn't back down. I think he perfectly explained the reasoning behind abstaining or in essence, supporting this resolution. Remember, there was unanimous support. 14 of the countries voted in favor of the resolution, with the United States abstaining. And their reasoning is good. If you genuinely want a two-state solution, you don't find a solution for that by building more settlements in, the West Bank and East Jerusalem, which is what they were planning on doing. More than 400 settlements.
So, two important other things that John Kerry said. So right before that clip began, when he started talking about friends must tell each other hard truths and it requires mutual respect, he had a great line in there, because after the UN vote, Netanyahu, of course, questioned whether we were really friends of Israel. We give close to $4 billion a year to Israel every year. We gave them the Iron Dome, which prevents the missiles from landing inside Israel. Fantastic.
Yeah,
because we are friends. We don't want the missiles to land. Of course, that's why we gave them the dome. And so at the time, Netanyahu was, yeah, okay, thanks, I appreciate it. And then immediately went back to criticizing Obama and building more settlements and not doing anything that his partner, the United States, asked for. Yes, it's important that we respect you. It's also, as John Kerry pointed out, important that you respect us. We're not your client state. We're not getting donations from you. We're not getting defense systems from you. It's the other way around. But after the vote, Israel scolded America. What do you mean scolded America? We give them money. That's my money. That's taxpayer money. That's your money. And so if it goes to an ally and they are in line with our interests, great. So, for example, if Turkey lets us use their air bases, well, okay, then I can see how aid goes to Turkey. If Turkey does not allow us to use air bases or does things that we think are damaging in Iraq or Syria, then maybe aid doesn't go to Turkey. That's how things work. If Israel does the things that we want, great. And we have peace, that's better for Israel, better for us, better for everybody, great. But if they don't, if Saudi Arabia goes and kills all those innocent civilians in Yemen, why do we continue to give them aid and comfort? It makes no sense. So now, again, context is for that was that Israelis said, remember the right-wing Israelis said, friends don't take friends to the Security Council. So the beginning of John Kerry's speech there, right before what you saw, he said, quote, some seem to believe that the U.S. friendship means U.S. must accept any policy, regardless of our interests, our own positions, our own words, our own principles, even after urging again and again that the policy must change. Because John Kerry desperately tried to get Israel peace. He became Secretary of State, and his number one purpose was a peace deal that would give a permanent peace to Israel and to the Palestinians. And everyone in the world agrees, the European Union, the Russians, the Chinese, the entirety of the United Nations, that the two-state solution is the right answer. And later in the speech, John Kerry said, what do you want to do? You want to do a one-state solution? Well, that only leads in two things. Either you no longer have Israel because the Palestinians will outvote the Israelis, and it won't be a Jewish state anymore. You can have Israel, it just won't be a Jewish state. And that's not a solution that America as an ally of Israel wants. Or you could do permanent subjugation and occupation of the Palestinians. Is that what you want? And then Israel won't be a democracy anymore. Yeah, Jews get to vote, but non-Jews don't get to vote. Otherwise, there'll be no Israel, right? So he's like, we don't want that. We want a safe, peaceful Israel. But no, the right wing never agrees, never agrees. Understand, 70% of Jews in America vote Democratic. They are liberal, not right wing. And the Netanyahus of the world do not speak for them. So just because they are running Israel today doesn't mean that they speak for all Israelis for all of time. Yitzhak Rabin was on the verge of doing a peace deal. He got murdered by an assassin for that, okay? He spoke for Israel as well. Now, we forget that. That's an easy, convenient thing to forget. So I love this speech by John Kerry.
It was definitely a strong speech, and what he said was right. And saying these things and pushing for a two-state solution doesn't make you an individual who's against Israelis, doesn't make you an individual who doesn't believe in Israel's right to exist. That's all propaganda and smears that right-wingers like Netanyahu like to push out there so he doesn't face any criticism whatsoever when he's building these settlements. But understand, these settlements lead to more war, to more hostility in that region. And if you want a real solution, you don't provoke people by building settlements on their land.
And look, and his top two negotiators, I'm only saying this because in the context of they claim to speak for all Jews, the right wing does, which is totally fabrication. The top two negotiators for America under John Kerry were Jewish Americans. Of course, we all want what's best for Israel, but what's best for Israel is peace, not perpetual occupation. You don't want to be the powerful crushing the powerless. That's not what's good for America or Israel or any of us. So don't they think like, oh, the whole world's against us. Now, look, in the past, it's not like the world hasn't been against Jews. They have, right? And it's not like that kind of, I wouldn't call that paranoia because it was justified. I mean, look at what happened throughout world history. But today, it's not like New Zealand and Senegal and every country in the world is voting against Israel just because they hate Jews. It's not like our Jewish American representatives are trying to get them to the table to do a two-state solution because they're against Jews or against Israel. It's because they actually are trying to look out for you, but you're like that guy, just like Bush in Iraq. France had this analogy, basically, when they voted against the Iraq War. We're like your friends trying to drag you out of a bar fight you should never be in because you're going to get hurt in that fight. And it makes no sense. So, for God's sake, they've got to get back to the table. But the reason I brought it up is these guys are frustrated. John Kerry, all of his allies, President Obama, because they tried really hard. And they came to the conclusion that unlike the propaganda you hear on TV here in America and the propaganda you get from the right wing, it was not the Palestinians blocking it. In this case, you can see clear as day in that speech. That was John Kerry saying it was the right-wing government of Israel that was blocking the peace deal.
According to the New York Times, Kerry wanted to deliver Wednesday's speech more than 2 years ago. and that's according to what current aides told the New York Times. But he was blocked from doing so by the White House, which saw little value in further angering Mr. Netanyahu, who is
I see a lot of value in it.
Yeah.
Netanyahu is the Dick Cheney of Israel. I see a lot of value in angering him. Like, this is exactly what you started with, Anna. Those are the Democrats you're used to. Obama, who tells John Kerry, who's trying hard for a peace deal, don't
give that speech. Don't be honest about what's really going on and the real steps that need to be taken to solve the hostility in that region, right? And that's, look, I'm going to be honest. I liked Kerry's speech. I loved the honesty there. I loved that he was strong. But at the same time, if they're being open and honest and clear about what their position is and how they believe that these settlements are a bad idea, then why did they abstain? Why is it so difficult for you to come out and say, you know what, I'm voting along with the Security Council? And so like that, I know you don't see it as a half measure. I do. I see it as a half measure. Because if you're a strong leader, then you would push to vote in favor of that resolution and not abstain.
Yeah. So look, this is the part where people get really upset. And again, I've explained this before for understandable reasons. So the Israeli lobby in America, the right-wing Israeli lobby is very strong. Unfortunately, the left-wing Israeli lobby, not very strong. So you say, oh, like this, the reason people get upset or concerned is because they like, you know, in the past, propaganda about how Jews secretly control things behind the scenes has led to disastrous results. So you don't want to go down that route. But you can't let that prevent you from having a real conversation about which lobbies are strong and not strong in America and whether they have an effect. The NRA is incredibly strong in America, and they have an unbelievable effect. 93% of Americans want federal background checks, but we can't get what 93% of Americans want in a democracy because the NRA has an incredibly strong lobby. That's about guns. In the case of Israel, there's J Street, wonderful Jewish American organization that is in favor of a two-state solution for peace, represents the overwhelming majority of Jewish voters in America. Not a strong lobby, don't care. AIPAC, right-wing, they represent a better lobby. So for whatever reason, that Jewish American group, not all Jewish American groups, that particular one, goes right-wing, right-wing, right-wing. Okay, we know we don't want peace. They claim they want peace. Netanyahu claims he wants peace. But you just heard from Kerry. God damn it, I tried to get peace for 4 years. The guy who blocked me was Netanyahu. Because just because you're Israeli doesn't make you right about everything. How could Rabin and Netanyahu be right at the same time? Rabin and Netanyahu were against each other. Rabin look, it's not like Rabin was an angel on earth, was a perfect person. But he wanted peace. So why didn't we listen then? Because the right-wing Israeli lobby in America is super strong, as the drug companies are, as the oil companies are, and the banks are. So that's a reality. That's why, even when we're furious with the right-wing government of Israel, we will show you how furious we are by waiting for 2 years to make a super obvious speech and abstaining.
Exactly.
That's about as strong as an American government can get. And when what happened? Not only Republicans, but Democrats, who are supposed to be progressives, are mad at John Kerry, are mad at Barack Obama. How dare you oppose the right-wing government of Israel? Insane. If you want to see this happen, donate $3, $20, $27, whatever you can afford. You know that if everybody that's watching this video donated right now, we could stop the fundraising because we'd have enough. So go to tytnetwork.com/go. We'll wait while you make the donation. Thank you for doing it and for building a great new journalism team. And thanks for watching.